Welcome back, everyone. The legend of the vampire has echoed through the centuries, preying on our deepest fears and captivating our imaginations with tales of blood-sucking ghouls that stalk the night. But did you know that lurking in the shadows alongside these infamous creatures is another figure equally shrouded in mystery and terror, the enigmatic witch? In the folklore of the Carpathian Mountains, witches were believed to be more than mere practitioners of dark magic. They were conduits to the spirit realm, shaping the very essence of life and death itself. And when the full moon hung heavy in the night sky, they were said to gather in unholy covenants, performing rituals that defied the bounds of human understanding. So come with me now on a journey back in time to uncover the chilling truth behind the world of witches in the land of the Carpathian Mountains. We'll explore their terrifying powers, uncover the secrets of their nefarious practices, and expose the haunting legacy that continues to captivate us even today. Are you ready to delve into the abyss of ancient lore and confront the darkness that lies within? Then let us begin our tale. Down amongst the gnarled branches and moss-covered stones of the Carpathian Mountains, nestled in the remote villages of Hoyabakia, there lived a woman unlike any other. Her name was forgotten, lost to the mists of time. Only whispers of her deeds remained, echoing through the ages and painting her as a figure both revered and reviled. She was known simply as the Witch of the Carpathians, a title that struck fear into the hearts of men and women alike. The villagers spoke of her in hushed tones, their voices trembling as they recounted the tales of her uncanny powers. For this enigmatic woman was no ordinary mortal. She possessed a profound connection to the spiritual realm, allowing her to commune with spirits, harness their energies, and bend them to her will. This gift, or perhaps curse, set her apart from the rest of the community, casting her as an outsider whose knowledge and abilities were both fascinating and terrifying to behold. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the valley, the villagers would draw closer together, sharing stories of the witch's malevolent deeds. They spoke of her ability to shapeshift at will, transforming herself into a variety of terrifying beasts, each more monstrous than the last. Some said she could take the form of a wolf, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light as it stalked its prey under the cloak of darkness. Others claimed she could become a raven, its sharp beak and piercing gaze symbolizing death and decay. But perhaps the most chilling tales centered around her ability to morph into a bat, its leathery wings beating silently through the night as it dipped and swooped over the unsuspecting villagers, leaving behind a sense of dread and foreboding. These stories only added to the enigma surrounding the Witch of the Carpathians, making her all the more elusive and dangerous in the eyes of those who feared her. For how could one hope to defend themselves against an enemy who could appear and disappear at will, taking on the guise of some of nature's most feared creatures? Yet, despite the terror she inspired, there were some who sought out the Witch of the Carpathians, drawn to her powers by a morbid curiosity, or perhaps desperation. These brave or foolish souls ventured deep into the dark forests of Hoyabakia, hoping to uncover the secrets of her magic and unravel the mysteries that had made her infamous throughout the land. What they found, however, was far from what they had imagined. For as they delved deeper into the witch's domain, they uncovered a world of shadows and secrets that threatened to consume them whole. Through their harrowing journeys, we gain insight into the very core of the witch's power, witnessing firsthand the dark forces that she commanded and the terrifying consequences of crossing her path. So join us as we explore the perilous adventures of those who dared to seek out the witch of the Carpathians and discover the chilling truths that lay hidden in the depths of her enchanting abode. As the villagers huddled around flickering hearths, sharing tales of the witch's eerie abilities, one name emerged as the focal point of their chilling narratives. The Strigoi, according to local folklore, were malevolent spirits that inhabited the Carpathian Mountains, preying on the vulnerabilities of humankind and causing unimaginable horrors to befall their victims. These terrifying entities were said to be the source of the witch's power, granting her the ability to cast deadly curses, brew potent poisons, and control the very essence of life and death itself. The belief in the Strigoi was so widespread that many villagers fell victim to their superstitions, convinced that they were cursed by the witch and doomed to suffer the wrath of these malevolent spirits. In their fear and desperation, they turned to the witch for help, unaware that she was the very one who had unleashed the Strigoi upon them in the first place. This created a terrifying cycle of fear and despair, with the villagers unknowingly feeding the witch's power and perpetuating the very curses they sought to break. And as the lines between reality and nightmare blurred, the villagers became trapped in a horrifying labyrinth of their own making, unable to escape the clutches of the Strigoi and the sinister influence of the witch who controlled them. But amidst this chilling tapestry of fear and superstition, there were glimmers of hope. For some brave souls dared to question the validity of these beliefs, seeking to uncover the truth behind the Strigoi and the witch's supposed connection to them. Their investigations led them deep into the heart of the Carpathian Mountains, where they uncovered long-forgotten secrets that challenged everything they had ever known about the witch and the mystical realm she inhabited. They discovered that the witch had used the villagers' fears of the Strigoi to manipulate and control them, feeding off their terror and weaving it into the fabric of her magic. With this newfound knowledge, these intrepid explorers began to unravel the witch's web of deception, exposing her true motives and the sinister games she had been playing all along. As they closed in on the truth, however, the witch sensed their growing awareness, and desperate to maintain her hold over the villagers, she unleashed the full force of her powers, plunging the Carpathian Mountains into chaos and despair. The battle between enlightenment and ignorance, reason and superstition raged, and the fate of the villagers hung precariously in the balance. Would they succumb to the darkness that had enveloped their lives, or would they rise up against the witch and reclaim their freedom from the clutches of the Strigoi? And as the final showdown approached, the truth behind the witch's origins and the true nature of the Strigoi were revealed, forever changing the course of life in the Carpathian Mountains. As the story of the witch of the Carpathians and the Strigoi continued to evolve, The villagers' understanding of the supernatural forces at play began to shift. What was once a tale of unfathomable horror gradually transformed into a narrative of resilience and courage in the face of overwhelming darkness. It became clear that the witch had exploited the villagers' lack of knowledge, using their fears and superstitions to maintain her power and control over them. However, as more and more people began to question the validity of these beliefs, the witch's grip on the community started to weaken. Those brave enough to venture into the depths of the Carpathian Mountains returned with tales that challenged the prevailing folklore. They described the Strigoi not as malevolent spirits, but as misunderstood creatures driven by their own agendas. The witch, they realized, had twisted their perception of these beings, turning them into symbols of fear and despair to keep the villagers in a perpetual state of submission. Armed with this newfound knowledge, the villagers began to resist the witch's influence, finding strength in numbers and banding together to challenge her dominion over their lives. They recognized that the witch's power lay in their collective fear and ignorance, and by confronting their fears and embracing the truth, they could break free from her clutches. But the witch, sensing the erosion of her power, fought back with every fiber of her being. She unleashed the full extent of her abilities, plunging the Carpathian Mountains into turmoil and tempting the villagers with promises of safety and security if they would only return to her fold. Yet the villagers stood firm, their determination to break free from the shackles of fear and superstition unwavering. The final confrontation between the villagers and the witch was nothing short of epic. It was a battle not just for their physical freedom, but for their very souls. As the lines between good and evil, reality and nightmare continued to blur, the villagers drew upon their collective courage and the strength born from their newfound knowledge to stand against the witch and her minions. It was a fight that tested their resolve, challenged their beliefs, and pushed them to the very limits of their endurance. But in the end, it was a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity, the relentless pursuit of truth, and the unbreakable bonds of community in the face of unimaginable darkness. And as the dust settled, and the echoes of the battle faded into memory, the Carpathian Mountains bore witness to a new era, one marked by enlightenment, resilience, and the triumph of the human spirit over the forces of fear and ignorance. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the dark folklore of the Carpathian Mountains. If you enjoyed this tale, please don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of mystery and intrigue. And if you have your own stories of the strange and supernatural to share, I encourage you to do so in the comments below. Until next time, may your nights be filled with peaceful dreams and your days with joyous discoveries. And remember, sometimes the greatest horrors lurk not in the shadows, but in the depths of our own fears. Stay safe and keep exploring the world's rich tapestry of legends and lore.